All right, welcome back. We went over the whole how they're able to, or excuse me, how the cartels are able to sell the drugs and the challenges with dealing with the cartels by the political party that decided to go to war with the cartels. Now we're going to look over the political impact by the cartels. Right. Oh, time. Assassinations and attempts. So the cartels are going to see anyone trying to curb their power or limit their power in any way as a direct threat. And one of the cartels who sees that threat and goes, well, if they're going to attack us, we'll just attack them, is the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. In 2018, they would attempt to kill the former Security Secretary of Jalisco. They would not be successful in this. In June 2020, they're going to attempt the killing of Mexico City's Public Security Secretary. They would also not be successful in this. But in June 2020, same month and year, a judge who indicted members was killed along with his wife. He indicted members of the Jalisco New Gen. Um, he did what he believed was right, and the New Generation Cartel killed him for that. Um, their violence would not stop with just a judge. And again, so they're willing to go after anyone to stand up to them. In December 2020, the assassination of former Jalisco governor Aristotle Sandoval would be killed in Puerto Rico. He was at a restaurant. He got up, went to go to the bathroom. A woman followed him into the bathroom and shot him in the back of the head. Um, Bodyguards were not with him while he went to the bathroom, so again, they thought he was safe. The bodyguards had done what they could to secure the building before, but they didn't know that the assassin was already inside of the restaurant waiting for them because Jalisco New Gen had been stalking Sandoval for months, waiting for the right time to assassinate him. Um, he would be rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead at the hospital. This is a picture of him on the right. And the reason they killed him is just because he wanted to rid the cartel of his state and he wanted to do the right thing and he died for it. Um, Not all politicians are willing to stand up to the cartels. Some are still going to accept bribes like they did under the pre. Um, they the reason they are accepting these bribes is they're afraid. They accept the bribes, also out of greed. But many of them are going to accept because if you don't accept, you might die, and they're absolutely afraid of that. And because of this, people are going to lose trust in the political system, and it feels hopeless to get rid of the cartels. These people are electing politicians who will take a stand to the cartel and actually do something, and the reward for that is dead politicians who dead judges, dead almost dead security officers who are afraid. These Recently they had beheaded a mayor less than 6 days after he was elected into his position because he was not pro cartel. And they died for that. And this is going to have a huge political impact where if you're willing to take a stand, you might die or you will die. And if you don't take a stand, then you're doing nothing and you're allowing the system to continue to crumble. All right. I mean, there's so much you can say about that, but it is disappointing, and there are people trying to do the right things, and they're getting killed for it, or there are people who want to do the right things, but they are afraid. But it is truly sad to see. Um, moving on to the economic impacts. Trying to combat the cartels costs $9 billion annually as of 2015. It is expensive. Um, Mexico is not the only country with its own drug issue. In total, there's $100 billion allocated worldwide to combat drug trafficking in other countries. But Mexico is paying so much money for this, and that money could go to better resources. Legitimate business in Mexico is not safe. It is truly terrifying for many of these companies where legitimate businesses can't sell their goods without having to pay off cartel members. And if they don't pay them off, there's this fear of, oh, they're going to kill my employees, or oh, I have to pay them money, and can I afford to pay them money? What maybe I can afford to pay them this month, but will I be able to afford to pay them next month? And if I don't, am I going to die? And that is very scary. It is horrible. The cartels pose the ability to take over an entire business. The Knights Templar cartel, who's no longer around, as I mentioned before, in let's see, do I have it? Um, oh, excuse me, I can't. Oh, there it is. In Michoacan, the Knights Templar cartel ran the iron ore exports. They were making money with the Chinese government. Um, and they were making so much money selling iron ore that they almost went legit because it was more profitable to sell iron ore than it was to sell drugs. I mean that is a scary thought where your business just might be taken over by armed criminals. It is it's very worrying to a lot of businesses, and because of that, it may create businesses to think twice of is it even worth going to Mexico and dealing with those issues that the country has, and is it even worth it? So yeah, just something for a lot of businesses to consider. Is it even like I said? Is it even worth going there? All right, moving on to the impact on society. 50,000 have died from 2007 to 2012 um, alone, just in Mexico, due to narco violence. 30% increase of violent crime each year. By 2010, Mexico had more crime per capita than Iraq and Afghanistan. Mind you, both country, both Iraq and Afghanistan were at war with the United States. And there's more crime per capita in Mexico because of drug trafficking and the drug war. It is extremely dangerous for them. 95% of violent crimes are going to be male, excuse me, 95% of violent crimes had male victims. Just it's so much. And then alarmingly, 45% under the age of 30 will be killed. In 2011, Public Opinion survey reported that the economy fell second to security in the country's biggest problems. This is how much the impact is they people aren't even worried about, oh, do we have enough money? They are worried that we are not safe. We don't feel secure in our nation, and it is our biggest priority. And to many, it feels like nothing is being done. As of 2019, 200,000 are likely to have died since the outbreak of the drug war. So from 2006 to 2019. Excuse me. I mean, that is absolutely insane. It is. It, I mean, one death is too many, but 200,000 is truly remarkable and unfortunate. All right. Moving on to something a little less dark. Um, uh, there you go. It's another meme for you guys. To be fair, this one was I made it around Halloween, so you know it fit the theme a little better. But but yeah, I'll give you time to read that. Anyways, um, yeah. Okay. All right. Conclusion. Um, the U.S. accidentally gave cause to the cartels to grow in Mexico. Again, going back to the U.S. created such a demand for drugs that that demand had to be met by someone because demand equaled money. And well, unfortunately, the world runs on money. And so that demand had to be met. It was first met by Colombia. The U.S. kicked the cartels out of Colombia, and then it moved to Mexico. And now we are in the problem that we are in today. The pre-ignoring the cartels was not great. They had the ability to curb them in their infancy, and they did not. Um, and that is really unfortunate. It's maybe the pre could have done something back then, but we don't get to live in a timeline where we know that. Um, DPAN or PAN, I'm not sure which one you guys prefer. Going full force at the cartel is also not a great plan. Like it, you can't do nothing for so long and then do something all at once. Because the cartels went, well, hey, we were unchecked forever. Well, how do we come back with that? And so they decide, well, let's just go with insane amount of violence. Let's hang people from bridges in Mexico City and show them that we are not to be trifled with and that we are powerful. And that is going to cause such a backlash between the cartels and the party who's trying to get rid of them. Um, and going back to getting rid of them, getting rid of the cartels is not easy at all. The Gulf Cartel and Los Zetos, yes, those are two cartels that are not really active. But however, many cartels have spurted out of them, like like weeds in a grass. There's so many more that have started, and now those members, I mean, excuse me, those cartels are much harder to get rid of because they don't know who's in charge of them. They don't know who are active members. They don't exactly know what territory, what parts of they're controlling. They have to start from ground one. And by the time they fully will have a grasp on, okay, we got to go after this guy and get rid of this guy and that guy. By the time they're able to do that, these cartels are already more powerful. And now it's harder to get rid of them. And then what happens when you get rid of them? Do more cartels rise out of them? There's so much unknown variables. Um, the final, going to the drug trade as a whole is damaging to Mexico and its people. Um, so many people are going to die in through the usage of drugs, the cartels buying for power, anyone getting in their way. There's so much death on all sides. No one is really safe from this, and it is a tragic thing to see to a beautiful nation that does not. No, I mean no one deserves this, but it is harmful to see, and the normalization, I think, can be a whole other topic on its own of how the violence has gotten very normalized. I've talked to a couple people who have lived in Mexico, and they've talked about their experiences. And the common thing about them is just how normal they talk about it. Where I mean, they understand it's bad, right? But it's like, oh well, that's just how it is. There's nothing you can do about it, and that is a really sad and unfortunate thing to see. But that's not the topic we're going over. We're just going over the drug trade. Um, but yeah, that's really it. I find this topic very interesting, and I hope you did too. Um, Took me a while to make. But yeah, thank you very much for you guys' time, and have a good one.